We'll welcome Aditya Ruia, a passionate sustainability entrepreneur whose journey began with a beach cleanup where he found a chocolate wrapper from 1992. That moment sparked a mission to tackle the global plastic crisis. Today, as co founder of BECO, Aditya is driving change by creating eco friendly, affordable alternatives to everyday products, making sustainability a practical choice for everyone. Please welcome him.
Thanks, Shania, for the warm welcome. Um, Firstly, I would just, extend my gratitude to everyone here. I think we all share a common cause and a common concern, and I'm so glad that we could do this. A lot of thanks to MR, Preeta, Amita, uh, and the entire team at Indiaspora to actually bring out some of these key issues that we're all dealing with. And I think I might have a slightly different take than most of the people here. I think some people are coming from the sort of scientific background. For me, I think it was more important to bring change at the ground level with consumers, with customers, and how our decision making could actually impact the environment in a positive way. At every small choice at a time could actually bring about that change. So I have a small presentation. I know the folks at who are video streaming this might not be able to see it, but I'll try my best to sort of run through the presentation in a very simple way. I don't think the issue at large sort of needs complexity, and I'm just going to try to simplify it in a way that we all can sort of adopt. So our journey started with three of us, my brother Anuj and my friend Akshay. We were at a beach cleanup in Mumbai. This was the year in 2019, so not a lot of time ago. And I actually come across this food wrapper, and it was this bright orange in color, something. It looked so fresh, like maybe it had been thrown or used just a few days or weeks ago. And my father was there at the beach in Mumbai, Chopati. And I asked him that, Papa, have you seen this before? This looks so familiar, but I can't recognize this. And he actually said that it belonged to a chocolate which was discontinued in the 1990s. So the fact that there was this food wrapper which had been there for almost 3 decades, and it looked so fresh, made us feel very uneasy. And I think what we realized was that everything that we are consuming and throwing today is not just going to come back to us, but our future generations as well. And I think we had a very interesting and a different take on this entire situation because I think a lot of organizations were working towards plastic recycling, was to adopt eco-friendly practices in some of the manufacturing processes. But we felt that there were so many hidden sort of causes to this plastic pollution that we had seen. And we narrowed down on a consumer market that we felt was ready for disruption, but also ready for adopting some of these new products that actually most people, as customers or as consumers, I don't realize that how can we actually bring about change in such small ways on an everyday basis. And I think for us, what we did differently was that we didn't only pitch sustainability as the key to buy some of these or adopt some of these practices. I think we said that, these products are better. They are enjoyable, they're stress free, they're convenient. So how do we make a consumer story backed by sustainability something that is easier to digest and adopt? And I think that's how the birth of BECO came to be. So BECO stands for BECO, which is basically telling consumers to be eco and become more eco-friendly. And I think that simplicity sort of enabled us to get into more and more homes and actually have households adopt some of the products that we make that were completely free of harmful chemicals, that were free of plastics, and that actually had sustainable and zero waste manufacturing processes. And actually, if you just look at a product range, these are products that you use daily but never really identify as, can this really cause the damage that we are talking today? Is this all the trash that I see on the roads or at the beaches in India? And I think that's really where our insight came that, most people don't realize. And if we can bring about that awareness to customers and to households, then actually people wouldn't mind trying it if given that it's affordable, given that it's truly sustainable, and that they actually have that awareness to know that what kind of difference this could make. So we started with uh, choosing a few very key ingredients such as bamboo, coconuts, sugarcane, and actually making products out of these core raw materials to basically build a zero waste and chemical free product range that actually allowed consumers to try and then maybe see if this works for them or not. And we said that, while sustainability is the ethos on what BECO was born, we wanted to keep things very simple. Uh, we said that, and our core belief was that people want to do the right thing, and they might actually not even have the option or the awareness to know what is. So the right thing might not always be ideal. And how do we make that more ideal for people to actually try? So how do we make the journey very, very seamless, very, very frictionless? And how do we make the products that actually feel good, look good, and also do good? And I think that's really the amalgamation of what BECO was born with. So how do you make products that feel, look, and do good? And I think once customers actually experience this, and we looked at the citizens of the country or the citizens of the world actually as customers, saying that everyone's using these kind of products, maybe in different ranges, but how do you get them to actually fall in love with these products so that they buy the products because it's better for them and it's also better for the environment? And I think that was the sort of 180-degree shift to what most sustainability brands in India don't get right, which basically they propose sustainability as something that should be an enough reason for people to buy into. But I think what we said was that how do you make products that they anyways love, but are also then sustainable? And I think that really sort of made BECO the name that it is today. And sort of growing from there is that because of the volumes of scale that we got, we could actually place the products just at a 20 or 30% more premium. And most customers actually don't mind paying this kind of an environmental tax, which I think they think more from the how the product is actually better for them and how the service is actually comparable to anything that they're getting out there. And we said that we will run this like a business, and we will make this make this mission into something that people can actually buy into, because I think once people pay for it, they're actually more committed to sort of following it through, to trying it, and to really testing the product and how it has sort of added any value to their life. So we place these products in offline shelves as well as online, and sort of saw the kind of traction that came into uh, just by having that accessibility. Because I think most eco-friendly solutions today don't even actually have accessibility. They are probably a small store in a large city, or they are just running a website through which they are sort of interacting with the consumers. But I think for us it was very different. We said we will run it like a business, but we'll make sure that the impact is positive to the environment. And we've made actually a lot of business and profitability trade-offs to make sure that we are true to our goal and not truly any other consumer business that is out there in the country today. Eventually, I think there is a common notion that people think that environmental friendly products or natural products might not be as efficacious, or might not be as effective. And I think that was a more difficult sort of battle to win, because most people today think that because they're buying something natural or compostable or sustainable, they might actually have to compromise on the quality. So we actually have to make sure that the products are actually doing what they're supposed to do and even better, and ensure that the customer love is actually sort of coming, because that will be the eventual driver for the kind of growth an idea like this could have. And we typically I think a lot of companies and brands, rope in celebrities, I think we brought in a believer that actually speaks sustainability throughout their media conversations. Internally, I know that they are practicing a high degree of sustainability, and actually worked with them to actually bring about this kind of large scale awareness in the country, to actually make people know about a brand or a solution like this that they can actually try. And I think from our side, we looked at, I think a lot of entrepreneurs ask me that how do you go about team building in a sustainability venture, because they're looking for passionate people. Most of them, some of them might not be as qualified to run a business. And I think what we did was we found folks in the corporate world that actually were very passionate about sustainability. They have moved to sort of a zero waste lifestyle internally and within their homes, and actually brought them on board so that they could actually practice their hard skills, but also knowing that their intention was truly to bring about the change that we wanted to see in the country and also globally today. So our backgrounds for all the three co-founders, I've done my manufacturing engineering from BITS Pilani, had a lot of knowledge in terms of how some of the manufacturing processes have been built. Anuj, my second co-founder, was working in PNG in the supply chain division, so he had an understanding of how these products could be sourced, could be manufactured, and could be brought to the consumer at the cheapest of prices. And Akshay, my third co-founder, he's done his material science engineering from IIT Madras, understood how some of these chemicals interacted, how formulations could be made, and how we could actually bring up these new and even innovative products in the hands of the consumer at a fairly large scale. And just to give a brief about some of the accolades, I think this is more of a testimony to the work that we've done and how we've been able to bring about certain changes. We've been featured not just on Forbes 30 and 30, but on many other sort of forums. But I think what's most important is that we've been able to influence some sort of a change in the country. And I think some of these accolades help add credibility to the work that we are doing and the change that we are trying to make. So yeah, any questions, any sort of thoughts? Have you all come across any sustainable products that you all want to ask about, and how can we then sort of go about it? So I think Shrenya, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Aditya. We have a couple of questions. So the first one is, what are the biggest roadblocks to achieving true sustainability at scale, and how do we overcome that?
So I think there were two sort of roadblocks that I would want to bucket it into. One is more of when I look in terms of in the market, like how is the market sort of how is the market landscape shaped that actually allows entrepreneurs to build something in the sustainability space. The second is more of a largely populist mindset issue, which they think that maybe because it's sustainable, it's going to be more expensive, or maybe because it's sustainable, it's not going to be as good as quality, or I'm going to get something. It's people think of it more as a charity, and I don't think that either of these things are wrong. Firstly, from the mindset point of view, you have to build that awareness, and you have to uh, sort of figure out a way that you can actually manufacture or provide these products or services to the consumer at a very competitive cost. And I think that becomes very crucial. I think most people leave out on that because every time I talk about organic fruits and vegetables, people are going to think it's 3x the price that I'm going to pay at a local store. But that might not be the case. And I think that burden is on the entrepreneurs to sort of figure that out, that how do you get these products that deliver on their promise and the commitment actually at the best price to the consumer. And I think secondly, more from a market landscape, right? Sometimes the market is not very receptible to some of these changes. And I think that's again where the awareness sort of comes into the picture, right? Where you start with a few core consumers or core customers that your product or service might have, and actually then build the love from there, and that will sort of lead to a lot of word of mouth, will eventually will lead to some bit of the market changing. But it does require a lot of resources, which is why and time, of course, but which is why we've raised capital that will actually and work with like-minded investors who see the passion and who see the mission that we're trying to achieve, and actually then support that over a longer course where we can actually build out that sort of communication and bring out that education within the consumers, that how some of these changes needs to be made.
Thank you. We can take one more question, I think. So this is one of our attendees who personally uses your products, and they made the shift when they read about your product. So
Mhm.
they want to know, how is your company looking at sustainable or eco-friendly or biodegradable packaging?
So I think packaging itself is sort of uh, it's very the whole supply chain is very complex, right? Because uh, plastics was sort of introduced in packaging almost 5 or 6 decades ago, when it sort of became more and more mainstream, and I think that has become the de facto option for a lot of companies. And just because of the versatility, because of the flexibility of plastic that actually enables it to apply across various different products. I think for us, the way we looked at it was that packaging actually is a problem that is being trying to be solved by many countries, and not just companies in many countries, but many countries overall. And a lot of innovation is still to come within the plastics industry. We actually explored solutions like PLA and PBAT, and I don't want to get too technical, but these are actually bioplastics which are made from 0% synthetic crude oil based uh, plastic granules. So actually they serve a very similar purpose. And what I've seen is that the cost of these raw materials were actually maybe 4 or 5 times the plastic granules, which has actually come down to almost 1.5 times today. So a lot of innovation and volumes and economies of scale have actually driven the cost and made it more competitive, but we are still a long way from a large scale adoption. So the way we look at packaging is how do you build certain volumes and then and adopt these eco-friendly alternatives, and actually then through that get the prices in a way that is easier for any customer to sort of engage with.
Thank you, Aditya. So there are a lot of questions being addressed to you, but in the interest of time, we'll have to move on. You can interact there in the chat box itself, or we can mail the questions to you later.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shreya.